This is your number one source for all things comics, movies, and pop culture. It's Geek Week with Chris and Nick.
You're tuned into Geek Week.
I'm Chris Natale.
And I'm Nick Rotundo.
To all those listening, thank you for joining our discussion.
And if you would like to hear any of our old episodes, be sure to check out our YouTube account, which is posted on our Facebook account at www.facebook.com/geekweek885. Also, be sure to check out any type of WRKC social media as well. WRKC885, that's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. We're also going to have a special guest around 6:30ish. Probably during our break, he's going to come in. It's our buddy Adam McGahee, who works in one of the TV stations local around here in Wilkes-Barre. And like us, he's a geek. He's a big comic book fan, and he's going to give some of his own opinions as well on this topic. So, Chris, why don't you start off with today's topic?
So today's going to be the Silver Age of comics.
That's right. Last week we talked about the Golden Age of comics. That is the beginning, the original fun stuff that we all grew to love. Basically, without that golden age, we wouldn't have anything that we have today. And today is going to be the, it's hard to explain, to give it like a phrase, but it's the Silver Age, and you'll see why. It's kind of a strange type of, a strange time in the comic realm of when we talk about things and like character bios and stuff like that. You'll see why in a little bit. But this is from 1956 to 1970. This is after World War II. This is after all the superheroes kind of died out in the comics because of the fact that people were tired of, the violence and everything from the World War II era. They kind of just stopped doing that. They decided to go towards that teen issues, the whole horror, Western, comedy, like the Archie, all that fun stuff. We talked about that last week. And then now this week, we're focusing on Silver Age, so it's coming right after that. So, Chris, let's start it off with where Silver Age came from. All right.
Well, Michael Uslan, for those you may know, he's produced a lot of the Batman movies that are out today, including the ones from back then with Michael Keaton. And he also wrote a book named The Boy Who Loved Batman, which is awesome. And he's a comic historian and movie producer, like I just said. And he traced the origin of the Silver Age back to the Justice League of America number 42, and that was in February of 1966. And it went on sale of December 9th on 1965. And it was written by Scott Taylor, and pretty much he wrote, if you guys keep bringing back the heroes from the 1930s, 1940s Golden Age, people 20 years from now will be calling this decade the Silver 60s.
So kind of fun way to just, as Uslan goes on to explain that, like, using the Olympic medals, silver, gold, bronze, all that stuff, this is where it's coming from. The idea that, the Golden Age, that's like where all the old guys are like, oh, yeah, remember the good old days? Well, that was the Golden Age, and then now we're kind of progressing on, so we go silver, and then next week will be bronze for us to talk about. But with that, the whole natural hierarchy of gold, silver, bronze, as in Olympic medals, took hold. Fans immediately glommed onto this, refining it more directly into a Silver Age version of the Golden Age. So very soon it was in our vernacular, replacing such expressions as Second Heroic Age of Comics or the Modern Age of Comics, because that's way later on now. So this is the Silver Age, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So and it wasn't long before dealers, comic dealers, any type of comic book store, anything like that, anybody who has a comic book in their store that knows, hey, you want a Silver Age comic, here's the, here's where you find them. So with that, they decided to start naming it a Golden Age comic or a Silver Age comic and put those out for sale.
So pretty much the Silver Age began with the publication of DC Comics Showcase number 4 in October 1956. This is when the modern version of The Flash, as we know, Barry Allen, was introduced. And we know today, like Flash, Barry Allen, from the show, because he never really had much going on with him in terms of media until this show happened. Like before then, it was the comics, but like mostly focused on Wally West and the old Justice League cartoons and stuff like that. So it was really cool to find this out, and it's like Flash is an awesome character. Like I'm pretty sure everyone knows who the Flash is, or even recognizes the lightning bolt symbol in the center of like the white circle.
Oh, of
so
course.
I mean, it's very recognizable.
Yeah, and I mean, being just, I guess, the second, Flash, he's not the original. They kind of rebranded him in the sense that, this is Barry Allen. He's a CSI guy. He works with the police department in his, everyday life, and then he's also the Flash. And the funny thing is that we'll get into later on how this actually works, but a young Barry Allen is shown in the comics reading a Flash comic about Jay Garrick in the Silver Age. Like, I was like, what? I was reading these, like, facts, and I was like, how does this work?
A Flash comic and the character... So, reading a Flash comic in the Flash comic? Is that so? It's Inception.
So, with that... at the time, there were only three superheroes: Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, the Trinity.
Yeah, the Trinity, man. Gotta love them.
So they were still published under their own titles. Those are the only three that had their own titles. But then, of course, we have Showcase number 4, which brings in, Flash, Barry Allen, and then, that kind of just leads into getting his own Flash series later on. But, of course, Showcase number 4... several other 1940 superheroes were reworked during Schwartz's tenure, and that included the Green Lantern, which became Hal Jordan, who is a guy who's flying jets. He works for the military, and it's kind of completely different from the Alan Scott Green Lantern. They really changed the origins of how they became these superheroes way later, like from the Golden Age. Golden Age was like, oh yeah, it's magic. We're getting all these magic amulets and stuff, and that's how they're getting their powers. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. I think it's it's coming up right next after this. So we'll get into that in a sec. But also includes the Atom, Hawkman, and as well as the Justice League of America. But characters' names remain the same. So get this: their costumes, locales, and identities were altered, and the imaginative scientific explanations for their superpowers generally took the place of magic as a method of operation in their stories. So, where it comes in for Hal Jordan, oh, it's a magic ring. Nope, sorry, Alan Scott, you're out. Now it's Hal Jordan who gets an alien ring from space. This is all science and everything now. And he uses a alien battery to charge his ring and everything. So instead of a giant lantern that he carries.
As much as I appreciate... I mean, I like that they kept the lantern in there.
Oh, of course.
You have to recharge the ring with it. I do like that it wasn't just a magic ring, because I think magic is... like it's cool with some people, like Dr. Fate. Like he's somebody with like magic, like Doctor Strange. Those people, like, I don't mind them having magical stuff, but like when it comes to like Green Lantern, I don't think magic ring. I would think like super powered ring, like alien ring, like you said. Like it, like they're a different. Obviously, Oa is like in space, so it's like an alien planet with a bunch of people that are protecting the universe with this powerful ring. One of the most powerful, probably in the DC universe, like weapons as far as that. So
exactly, and that's why now they're going in the lines of, well, this is science. It's no longer magic. Yes, there will be still some like superheroes that have magic. They're magic oriented, but not everything has to be like, hey, here's a magic lantern and you're a superhero. Like, so here's a space ring from an alien, and he gives you a space.
Robin Sur.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Of course,
that was such a cool, like,
one of the greatest Green Lanterns ever.
And Sinestro before he turned to the dark side.
I mean, I know Christina,
but he has
the old station manager, she loves Sinestro, but there's always a place in my heart where I'm like, nah, you betrayed them. I don't like you.
I mean, I feel like he has a reason though, because
it's the whole idea that
it's like he was the best, and then Hal Jordan came off and said, nah, sit down, and then
I got this.
Yeah, and he was, I don't know, he felt humiliated. So, and then when he made his own core, I think that's,
oh yeah,
well,
because
awesome.
I think it's because of, like, for example, the Orange Lanterns are all about greed, and it's only one Orange Lantern, and he owns every ring. And he's like, no, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, you can't have it or whatever. And then, of course, there was that animated series about Green Lantern when Hal puts on the Orange Lantern ring, and he's like, I need to have them all, and blah, blah, blah. He becomes greedy with it. So I think, as much as that is just the Orange Lantern, I mean, the Yellow Lantern is fear, I think Sinestro became corrupt with that. And it's more along the lines of, like, I can do whatever I want. Like, I have this unlimited power source, and I'm the only one that has it right now. Like, I'm unstoppable. I mean, yeah, you're kind of not when you come to look at it, but it is what it is. But going on, it's cool to see that they went on from that and did science stuff. So, like, of course, Batman was always about the gadgets. And, I mean, originally he used guns and fists and stuff that we talked about last week. However, now this is more
you
like...
say guns and fists. He still uses fists.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, he has gadgets now. Like,
yeah.
So last week we talked about the fact that, like, he was literally just, here you go, throw on this costume and go beat up people. And, like, he barely had any gadgets, and he carried guns. Like, he would kill people.
Yeah, in that
necks.
one short on YouTube, he had a plane with guns on it. I'm just like, all right. And it wasn't even, like, I know the wings looked like bat wings, but that was about it.
Yeah, exactly. And so now this is going to be all about, like, the science of stuff. So, like, Superman's got powers from another planet, obviously. I mean, like, that's always been what happened. But
they really hit the alien thing. That's what they went for.
Yeah, they definitely did. But the fact that, like, Batman uses science, certain people use science with their powers. Like, it's
like the Atom uses science with the
yeah.
shrinking and all that stuff. Like, it's like Ant-Man with his pin particles. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that, but to a T, when you're describing DC Comics, even some Marvel comics, which we'll get into after the break, but when you're describing DC Comics, especially during the Silver Age, in a word, there is one word to describe it, and that is just silly. Because due to the assumptions of everybody's favorite, the comic code, creators were generally restricted to creating entertainment specifically for children. Mm-hmm. So this is like, instead of people like the Joker wanting to mass murder everyone and be this clown prince of crime,
or Green Arrow's sidekick using heroin.
Exactly.
That was like another thing.
So people going against the code's guidelines anymore, they kind of were like, well, now these guidelines are very strict and it needs to be age appropriate. So we'll have, like, for example, the Joker pull a prank on Batman. It's like, I'm going to drop the world's largest pie on Gotham or something like that. And Batman would be like, nope, gotcha, haha, pranked your prank or whatever.
How would Batman...
I don't know. It's like something like that.
No, I'm just saying, like, how would Batman get rid of the world's largest pie on Gotham City?
I don't even know.
How would he clean that up?
I mean, ask Adam West when he was carrying the bomb running down the street.
Oh, no.
Like, it's so campy. That's another word that we're going to talk about during the DC Comics talk about here.
Shark repellent.
But yeah, it is so campy. Like, oh, shark's got my leg with Adam West. Robin, hand me the bat shark repellent. And he sprays his leg and the shark falls off.
When I sat down and watched that movie, I literally never laughed so hard. And it was because it was so ridiculous. But, like, you know, we got to appreciate these things because this is where Batman came first, and then he grew into the Dark Knight.
Oh, exactly.
Today. And, like, it's just funny. I think recently they came out with a new animated, like, movie, and it was, like, using the Adam West Batman and Robin. And I was like...
And it's actually Adam West and Burt Ward. Like,
oh, that's awesome! I didn't know that it was.
Yeah,
okay.
It's their voices.
That's
I mean,
sick.
I think there's just about everyone in that movie, the Adam West movie that they did recently. It's I think it's Return of the Caped Crusaders. I want to say, I could be wrong on that name, but like almost every single one of the actors in that movie is the original, like, actor. I mean, like, the Joker's a different person. I think the Penguin is voiced by it's either the Penguin or Two-Face is voiced by William Shatner. And I only watched, like, a part of the movie because I was watching it online and it kind of cut out or whatever, and I just gave up on it. I had really cruddy internet that day, so I was just like, all right, whatever. But it looked good from what I was watching. I mean, it's campy. I laughed while I was watching it, but, like, this is a movie where Batman and Robin are trying to stop the bad guys. They stop at a stop sign, they hop out of the car, and they go to run across the street, and Batman stops Robin and goes, "What are you doing? We're law-abiding citizens, and we're superheroes. If we're gonna be superheroes to help the police, we have to abide by the rules too. We need to walk through the crosswalk." So they walked literally 5 feet over
I can't.
just to walk through the crosswalk.
Oh my gosh.
And not even run, just walk
I'm
across
still
it.
going to watch this movie regardless of how campy it is.
Oh, I know.
Because one of the things on my bucket list is to watch every DC animated movie.
Yes.
I mean, I would watch Marvel, but Marvel, you're kind of slacking in that department. No
There were
offense.
some older ones that I appreciated. The
definitely
the
90s
Ultimate
Spider-Man.
Avengers movie where Captain America, I love that Captain America look, the World War II one, where
That
it's
was
the
a cool
Ultimate Edition
costume.
where he's got the beaked mask.
Yeah, I like that
That's
costume.
awesome. I love that costume. But whenever I played Ultimate Alliance back in the day on 360 with my little cousin, I would always make Captain America wear that costume. Because it was just so cool. I love that costume.
I mean, it is a sick costume. I'm not gonna disagree with you.
But with that, obviously, we see the campiness of the silver 60s and 50s, and it's the Silver Age. It was silly and it was campy, and so the 50s also saw a general turn toward converticism in the whole American society. I cannot speak today, dude. I don't know. I stayed up till
to say conservatism, but
yes,
I got what you said.
I am so tired right now. I stayed up till 4 a.m. last night watching TV for the election, and I just am so tired. So I apologize for people hearing me talk funny, but yeah. So American society converted as a reaction against the disruption from the war. And pushing the envelope or questioning social norms was kind of frowned upon. So let's make violence. No, shame on you. Frowned upon. It was so you have to make the kids happy. You can't make them scared at all. It was a very big
There's nothing wrong with looking out for
leash.
kids, but there should be adult and child content separated.
Yeah.
That's
now that exists.
Now it is. Yeah. Now
exactly.
you walk in a comic shop, there's a child section, child comics section,
and then there's an adult section,
and then there's just a bunch of obviously comics for everybody else. So.
I mean, look at The Walking Dead. Let's say The Walking Dead was in the Silver Age, it gets shut down before even issue 1 would even come out. It is so gory. The amount of times Negan curses. And the amount of times that we see just zombies getting brutally murdered, just decapitated, all this different stuff. It is so against the comics code of what that was back in the day. So I appreciate how it's evolved over time. So with that, the most obvious when it comes to female characters throughout the Silver Age, this is where I was like, dude, really? Come on now. So I can deal with the campiness, but this is where I drew the line. So obviously, female characters during the Golden Age were a lot more independent. I think this kind of, in my opinion, goes along the lines of all right, we have, Wonder Woman. We have all these female characters, Lois Lane. Who else am I forgetting here? I think that's really it. That really were the emphasis during that time. Those two characters, especially. I think the reason they made them was because of the fact that if you look back in World War II, you had war bonds and everything, and they wanted the females, the women, to help out as much as they can too. You have the propaganda of the woman flexing her arm, saying come on, let's go build planes and stuff for the military and stuff. So I think Wonder Woman and Lois Lane was kind of the backbone behind that. And now when you go into the Silver Age, it's more along the lines of this is the era where Wonder Woman became vaguely apologetic about rescuing male characters. And Lois Lane, who has been portrayed as an ambitious career woman before, decided her main goal in life was forcing Superman to marry her and becoming a housewife.
Frowned upon.
So frowned upon.
I don't agree with that at all. My God, if I read a comic like that, I'd put it down. Because first of all,
it's probably
you're
something that you
stereotyping
gotta
women
have.
hardcore.
Yeah, it's probably something that'd be pretty cool to have in your collection. Look at how much things have changed.
Oh yeah, of course, it's cool to have it, but it's
why? I mean, yeah. If you look back at the times, though,
yeah, and I understand because it was back then. I'm just saying that stuff isn't gonna fly today.
Yeah, no. Oh no, that would not fly today. But because of that and stuff like that, we've evolved. And of course, as I said before, there's no violence due to peaceful times after the war and the comics code. And supervillains pretty much just pulled pranks on the heroes, and the heroes stopped them. It wasn't even like, Lex Luthor or Joker or anybody saying, I'm going to take over the world, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, where someone's going to get hurt or I'm going to steal money or whatever. There was no violence. It was just, I'm going to turn Batman into a big TV dinner.
Compare this to Injustice and then think about that.
Oh, my God.
Compare to a big pie on Gotham to, making Superman kill his love and unborn child.
Yeah.
It's like, holy moly. I just said holy moly. I feel old. But yeah, just think about
well, it could be worse. You could say what, of course, Adam West would always say.
I'm not saying it.
Oh, I know.
I don't want to say it.
I know you're not going to say it. Oh, man. But in the mid-1960s, DC established that characters appearing in comics published prior to the Silver Age lived in a parallel Earth. This is where everything turned into what, as I was saying before, with Barry Allen reading a Jay Garrick comic book. And so this is how they decided, okay, you know what? We really want to make money off of this, and we really want to transition from the Golden Age to the Silver Age. We have an idea. We're going to make it so that way everyone in the Silver Age is on this thing called Earth 1. And everybody that's in the Golden Age and everything is in a parallel Earth, the company dubbed Earth 2. So the characters from there established, and it was the two realities. They were separated by a vibrational field that could be crossed, and this was mostly obviously by the Flash, being the guy who can run as fast as breaking the sound barrier, the speed of light, anything. He can run. He's faster than Quicksilver, in my opinion.
They did a versus match.
Ismahawk.
Ismahawk. That was pretty cool. That was the first time I've ever seen that. So, but yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, he's so fast that he can break the time barrier and go into the Speed Force and travel between worlds, between dimensions.
Quicksilver's still cool though. I don't want. Yeah. I'm not going to take anything away
without
from
a doubt.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, no, I'm not shooting down Quicksilver you stink. I'm never going to read you, or I'm glad Marvel killed you in the MCU. No, not at all. I love that. Honestly,
I'm still bitter about that because he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, he was honestly, as much as I do love the Days of Futures Past and the Apocalypse version of Evan Peters' Quicksilver. I love that. I thought it was funny. He was quippy. He had a sense of humor to it. He brought the humor to those movies, honestly, and it was great. I loved that. But also Aaron Taylor Johnson, the guy who also played Kick-Ass, in the they decided to make that comic book a movie, 2 movies actually. But with that, he did phenomenal as well in the MCU as Quicksilver.
I thought that they should have kept him in the movie. I didn't think he should have been killed off. I was pretty upset when it happened. I was I was shocked.
Well, yeah, everybody thought it was going to be Hawkeye, and then that's when Kevin Feige was like, "Haha, I gotcha." But it is what it is. And then so with that, it's a vibrational field that could be crossed at any time should a storyline involve superheroes from different worlds needing to team up. So, of course, we're going to get into, for example, Flash number 123, which was put out in 1962. Both the Golden Age and Silver Age Flash, Jay Garrick and Barry Allen, appeared in the same comic. This is the
is this the one where it's split
Flash
down
of
the
two
middle?
worlds, and it's a brick wall, and they're running.
I love that cover.
I love that cover, and they redid it for the show as well.
Yep,
and I loved that. Of course, it wasn't really Jay Garrick, spoiler alert, but dude, it looked phenomenal, and I loved it.
They did it in the actual show too.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Oh yeah, and it says "Flash, save me," and they both come in and say, "I've got you." I love that.
I thought that was awesome that that happened.
So, of course, that's the very famous cover that everybody loves. Both of them appeared in the same comic together. This would be the first time a Golden and Silver Age version of the same hero would ever meet. And, it was kind of confusing. A lot of people were confused over this, and it was very hard to comprehend over time. But over time, it got explained. if you read the comics, like for example, Rebirth now, everybody's like, how the heck did you bring Wally West back? Well, if you read it and you actually read each line, you don't just skim it through, hey, I got it in my head.
That whole 80-page issue when they first let out Rebirth, it literally explains how he got brought back.
Exactly.
I'm just, people.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
So with that, DC Comics sparked the superhero revival with its publications from 55 to 1960. And, Marvel Comics then capitalized on the revived interest in superhero storytelling with sophisticated stories and characterization. In contrast to previous eras, though, Silver Age characters were flawed and self-doubting. That's where, more Marvel comes into play. They were more flawed than, the Silver Age of DC. I mean, yeah, that is still shown in DC as well in the Silver Age, but it's more or less, superheroes who are flawed and, people can, relate to them. And we'll get into that after the break. But, of course, this was not prevalent in the Golden Age. Silver Age characters were often portrayed as more child-friendly than other comic book eras. I mean, this is beating a dead horse. Well,
it's crazy because I know I talked to someone at Comics on the Green in Scranton, and one of the guys preferred Silver Age Flash to the newer Flash stuff.
Oh yeah,
and this is before Rebirth came out, but this is around New 52, and I'm like, if I were to read Flash, if I want to start reading Flash, where would you recommend I start? He literally said, turn around, go to that bin, and pick out this, and I'm like, okay. He's like, yes, Silver Age. I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, I've always liked Barry the most, I think, out of all of them. There's just something about Barry,
Barry's technically the first because he's the first Flash after the older Flash.
Well,
I guess.
yeah,
Jay Garrick, then Barry.
I still love Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrick's awesome.
He was awesome,
and they still use him today in comics and stuff,
and in the TV show.
Yeah,
so. I mean, they brought him in this season too, just for the heck of it. They were like, "Hey, guess what, Barry? I'm going to grab you and pull you in to talk to you for a second."
My best friend's I don't know, something about Barry Allen that just kind of. I don't know. I'm drawn to his character.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it is because of the fact that the more relatable type of character. I've never really read in detail the whole, Jay Garrick Flash, but it was when you read and the Flash Silver Age and you read Barry Allen's storylines and you read even Flashpoint, for example, or you watch the 3 seasons of Flash. There's something about that show that I stopped watching Arrow. I stopped watching Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I stopped watching a bunch of different shows. And there's just something about this show that I stuck with. And Kevin Smith said it perfectly when Jay Muse kept telling him, you got to watch Flash, dude. You got to watch Flash. And, Kevin Smith made a joke saying that, it's just he's been telling me to watch Arrow and all this stuff, and I've gotten tired of it. I don't really have time, or I don't care. And then he told me that, and then of course Kevin Smith goes, Jay ran to my house, and usually he just calls me because I live a couple, or no, I'm sorry, it's reversed. He called me, and he thought that Jay had a problem with maybe it was his wife or the kid or something, and he was because usually they live right around the corner from each other in Hollywood, in L.A. or whatever. He usually just walks over and walks through the door without even knocking. They're best friends from childhood. Yeah, they're like brothers. So. He called him and he goes, dude, you need to, he's like, what's wrong? He's like, nothing. I called you because you got to turn on CW right now. They're putting on King Shark on Flash. And he was like, no, you're telling me King Shark is on right now. They're pulling that off. He goes, dude, turn it on. And that's when Kevin Smith just got right into it. And of course there's the infamous video of him crying for season 1's finale, of The Flash online on YouTube on his account, and something about that kind of just clicked with me. And then I really started watching it on Netflix for the first 2 seasons, and then I was like, wow, I need to watch this. And I just continued on from there.
For those of you who don't know, Nick Rotundo is a Kevin Smithstorian, and he literally.
I love Kevin Smith, I've heard, he's my idol.
No, I totally understand. I just think it's hilarious because, I feel like Kevin Smith is easily brought up once or twice on every one of our shows, and we've only had 9. So this being the 9th one, but I think it's funny. I'm not knocking you. I just love that you bring him up a lot. It makes me laugh. I do like his Green Arrow quiver.
Awesome. Dude, great storyline.
Batman is Cacophony, I think I read.
Yeah, and
I need to read
another one.
I need to read Widening Gyre.
That's the one I have.
I need to read that.
I have number 1 of that at home. But my mom just texted me saying, Holy Kevin Smith, Batman.
Your mom gets it.
Well, yeah, because she's been listening. She was talking about the whole fact that, like, you know, they had that whole quippy Batman thing, and of course she heard you talking about how I love Kevin Smith. So yeah,
I had to say something.
of course. But yeah, so storylines of like this Silver Age, you know, they expanded. It wasn't just about the superheroes too. It was something about that, like the Silver Age for kids that, like, you know, anybody can be in a comic book. I think that's really what they were trying to strive for. So, like, you know, they became more far-fetched to show off the character's new potential. Batman and Superman would team up to save the universe a couple dozen times, and it would be in the world's finest comics. And even sometimes minor characters like Jimmy Olsen or Lois Lane obtained superpowers, which was cool. And, you know, however, most of the Golden Age characters still existed in this era, with Batman, Superman, Jay Garrick, and Alan Scott remaining popular. But, you know, they also were also depicted in a more campy fashion. You know, so, like, for me, as much as I hated the campiness, I mean, I don't hate the campiness. I thought it was hilarious. If I ever need, like, a pick-me-up or whatever, I'll watch it.
I respect
Adam
that it's
West.
there, but I don't like it. I appreciate that it's there, but I don't like it.
Yeah, hand me like a Dark Knight Returns book before I read, like, you know, a Batman 66 comic. So, I mean, it is what it is.
I read a Batman 66 comics once at breakfast, and then I never read one again.
I remember there was one where Batman meets the Green Hornet. Batman 66 and the Green Hornet. Well, yeah.
That's cool.
Because, like, Kevin Smith and I think it was Ralph Garman.
Yes, they've
been working on a lot of, like, different superheroes 66, bringing them back for that. And I thought that was pretty cool, you know, like, giving, like, you know, a little tribute back to the old school stuff. But it is what it is. I mean, like, I'd rather pick up, like, you know me. I'd rather pick up the Ultimate Universe of Spider-Man. I'd rather pick up even a Deadpool stuff, any Deadpool stuff, new Batman that looks cool, anything like that. It's just, it is what it is. But, you know, with that, we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to be playing some music for you guys from, you know, superheroes from the Silver Age, and I believe it's the last song that we're going to play. Yep, the last song, or the last two songs. So we got 3 songs for you guys. So 2 of those songs are about Marvel comic superheroes that are part of the Silver Age, and we'll get, you know, a little bit of talking into that after the break. But we're going to start it off with Jim's Big Ego and their song, The Ballad of Barry Allen. You know, a nice little reference to the Flash there, the Silver Age Flash. And then we're going to get some X-Men theme song from the 90s cartoon.
Yes.
I know Chris is a huge X-Men fan.
I want to watch that, but I love the theme song. I need to watch that. I haven't watched it.
Cyclops, though.
All right, play the music.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, since Chris called me out on Kevin Smith, he hates Cyclops. So anytime you want to post on our Facebook wall of some pictures of Cyclops, be sure to tag Chris.
Oh my god. All right. Well,
yeah, but so with that, right after that, we're going to play the Ramones cover of the Spider-Man theme song, and we'll be right back. So with that, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Silver Age. This time we're going to be talking about Marvel's side of the Silver Age, I should say. And, you know, it's mainly based around one man, or 2 men, I really should say. That is Martin Goodman and everyone's favorite guy, the king of cameos, Stan the Man Lee. But yeah, so Martin Goodman, a publishing trend follower with his 1950s Atlas Comics line. By this time, it's now called Marvel Comics. He mentioned that he had noticed one of the titles published by National Comics seemed to be selling better than most. It was a book called The Justice League of America, and it was composed of a team of superheroes. So what did that do? Well, Marvel editor Stan Lee recalled in 1974. Goodman directed Lee to likewise produce a superhero team book, and, you know, everybody's favorite team in Marvel, the Fantastic Four, came about. Of course, we talked about last week with the Human Torch being a huge comic in the Golden Age. They decided to build a team around him, and it's, of course, you know, Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, which is Johnny Storm's sister, the Invisible Woman. We have the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and the Thing, Ben Grimm. So, you know, Fantastic Four #1, November 1961. This was basically Marvel's way of saying we're coming back at you, DC Comics.
And the Fantastic Four is a cool team. And I read their Ultimate Comics, Ultimate Fantastic Four, which that story, I don't know if you've ever read it, but it was really good. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. Like, my buddy had a bunch of the single issues, and I read like 5 of them in a row, and I was like, wow, this is great. Why didn't they do this for the movies?
I mean, if you look back at
something
like,
close
these
to it.
comics, I mean, of course, we'll get into a little bit more of my favorite character, but of course, Spider-Man was started out in a different comic, and then when they had his own line, the Fantastic Four was in issue number 1. There's him inside the Fantastic Four's Baxter building, sticking to like this glass tube, and the Fantastic Four ready to battle. Like, who the heck are you? And I was like, oh my god, it's like so like it's all linked together from day one. And I loved it. But the Fantastic Four is a great team, as you said. Doctor Doom is probably one of the greatest villains ever.
He owns a country, Latveria, for God's sakes. Like he's the king of his own country. Like,
and he's Sue Storm's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
So basically, like, if she never dated him and just went with Reed, or just stuck with Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom, none of this could have ever happened. So it's all for love, man. That's all it is. It's always about a girl.
You sound like a hippie.
But it is what it is. It's a great comic. I mean, hey, this is the Silver 60s we're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it's a great superhero team, and under the guidance of writer-editor Stan Lee and the artists/co-plotters such as Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, Marvel began its own rise to prominence.
I feel like Jack Kirby contributed a little more than just being an artist, but like, because I wouldn't put I would put these 3 guys in like on the same level as far as like writing and stuff.
I think, however, though,
they
like
all contributed to
Martin Goodman, wherever he is, this guy is probably one of the guys who honestly inspired Stan Lee to go on, though, because you have all these people in comics now. That you have Stan Lee, you have Jack Kirby, you have Steve Ditko, you have even John Romita Sr. later on. I mean, these guys were what made Marvel Marvel. But if Martin Goodman never said to Stan Lee, hey, you know what? DC's got some superhero team going. You should probably get in on that. I mean, it never would have happened. Yeah. But Stan Lee's the man. I mean, as much as a lot of people don't give him credit for a lot of stuff and say like, oh, he took credit away from like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and stuff. It is what it is. I mean, he's the last surviving member of exactly.
That. I mean, it makes sense why he would get the
what is he now? He's popularity like 98, I think.
Yeah, he's pushing.
Yeah, he just finished his last New York Comic Con last month. I mean, it's such a shame to see that. I mean, I love Stan Lee. I had the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the memory of him meeting him, signing my Spider-Man comic, and shaking my hand. Like, that'll always be with me for the rest of my life. That's something that I can cross off my bucket list. Like, I met Stan Lee. I was in his presence. Mm-hmm. Like, this is like when little kids are like in Little League and, oh, my favorite baseball player is Derek Jeter, and you meet him. This is Stan the Man Lee we're talking about. Like, this guy made my childhood.
Speaking of Stan Lee, my girlfriend actually got us a book, and it's like, I think it's an autobiography graphic novel of his life. And it's so cool. It's like him on the front in like comic form, and it's like the sickest thing. And we're excited to read it. I was just like, oh, I hope Jack Kirby makes an appearance in this book.
Well, there's rumors that they're going to do a movie, biopic about Stan Lee. And a lot of people are pushing for Bryan Cranston to play him, which would be fantastic.
I feel like Bryan Cranston is like the go-to for a lot of like characters.
But I love Bryan Cranston. I think
he's a great actor.
Yeah. Dude, Bryan Cranston as Stan Lee, though.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it.
And like, if you look back at like Stan Lee's life, I don't know how much you know about it, but like about what he did like during that time, and like he tells a lot of stories and everything. But like, of course, there's the infamous picture where he's pulling off the Burt Reynolds where they're laying on the rug and he's like butt naked or whatever. Well, Stan Lee pulled that off where he's sitting on a couch holding a comic over himself.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's infamous. People make fun of it still. He tries to hide it, but he loves it. He laughs about it and talks about it still. And this is a guy who like lives, breathes, and loves comics. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about him. And if it wasn't for all these guys, my childhood would have been completely different. I don't know what I'd be doing right now. But other than that, I mean, under the guidance of them, they pretty much established what Marvel Comics is today. In contrast to the straight-laced archetypes of superheroes at the time, from DC, from even the Golden Age back in the day, they ushered in a revolution. With dynamic artwork by Kirby, Steve Ditko, Don Heck, and others complementing Lee's colorful, catchy prose, the new style became popular among college students who could identify with the angst and the irreverent nature of the characters, such as Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Hulk, even Tony Stark. Jeez. Like, these are characters who are flawed, who are, relatable, and that's what people love about these comics. I, for one, I'm so happy Stan Lee created Spider-Man, because he is, without a doubt, I'm saying this, so it's not official, if you want to say that, but whatever it is, I don't care. That character right then and there, Peter Parker's Spider-Man, is the most relatable superhero comic book character in the history of comic books.
That's a big step there.
Oh, I know, but believe me, like when you read like his whole story, like everything that he came from, whether they changed it over time or, like changed the timeline or like made a deal with Mephisto or like go into the Marvel Ultimate Universe or whatever. There's things that just have like progressed and everybody can relate to at least something in his life. So with that, I mean, the superhero era, the previous eras, superheroes in the Silver Age, in contrast, were often flawed and, self-doubting. They were essentially more human and thus became, like a cross-platform, more relatable to their readers. I mean,
when you see a flawed superhero, like they're a superhero, they have powers, they have a costume, and you think, oh, they have the life. When you see flaws in them that you might see in yourself, it definitely humanizes them and brings them down to your level. They suffer from
the problems of like every teen, and that's what got like the teenagers to go, oh, comics aren't just for little kids
feeling
anymore.
Like an outcast, being bullied, things like that definitely, I would say, contribute to it.
And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about Spider-Man here more. Amazing Fantasy number 15.
Surprise.
Thanks, Chris.
Sorry.
But, Amazing Fantasy number 15 is Spider-Man's debut, August 1962. This character is over 50 years old now. Like, is it? Yeah. 50, right? I'm bad at math right now. So
well, let's see. 1962 plus 8, 1970 plus 30 plus.
Welcome to the Chris Math Show, guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at math too.
But with the most well-known superhero that Marvel would produce, would first appear in this issue. Like Captain Marvel before him, Spider-Man was a youth who kids could relate to. Peter Parker was considered a geek at school. He had a hard time getting dates. Bullies picked on him. Peter Parker remained someone readers could easily relate to as he grew older. He had a crabby boss named James Jonah Jameson, JJ, everybody's favorite. And sometimes he had troubles with landlords when it came to paying rent. Yeah. Spider-Man 2, though. Rent.
Yeah, I love what's his name? James Jonah Jameson and like the Spider-Man trilogy for Sam Raimi. What was that? Who was it?
It was J.K. Simmons, who's now Commissioner Gordon in the DC.
You're J. Jonah Jameson and you're Jim Gordon. You've played two awesome comic book characters.
Oh, yeah.
Good, props to him, man. Seriously.
Yeah, but
I can't wait to see it.
This is a character who, he's lost loved ones. He's lost his Uncle Ben. At times, he's even lost Aunt May, but then, of course, deals with Mephisto. We're not getting into that. That's just, irked me. I love Renew Your Vows because it brought it back, but it is what it is. He's lost Uncle Ben. He's lost Gwen Stacy. in the
death of Gwen Stacy was one of the most well-known comic books or like story arcs of Spider-Man's history. Dude,
you ask any like really passionate Spider-Man fan, you go, what are the key issues in Spider-Man? I mean, obviously there's Amazing Fantasy number 15, there's Amazing Spider-Man number 1, and like so on. But Amazing Spider-Man number 121, 122, the death of Gwen Stacy, the death of the Green Goblin. That right there, those are really big. And of course, I mean...
And there's still controversy to who killed Gwen, like Green Goblin or Spider-Man. People argue that today. And like, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you're going to say Green Goblin did it, Spider-Man's just trying to save her.
Well, yeah.
But, or you could say both. I mean, I haven't personally read those issues, but I've heard about the controversy.
It and stuff, and like, they've mentioned it throughout comics later on. And the Green Goblin has come out and said that like, when Gwen Stacy died, like, that you didn't kill her, it was all me. I killed her, because that's what like 122 really brought in, because it was the idea that like your webs didn't kill her because she snapped her neck. Like, she died from that fall either way, whether you could save her or not. She would have snapped her neck or hit the ground either way. Like, there's no way to save her. So this was all my fault. I win. But I mean, Norman Osborn gets the guillotine there after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool how they killed her off, because it shows that every superhero can't save everybody, especially ones they loved. I think that's awesome. But I feel like she getting killed off. I feel like that goes back to like making a male character like kind of reflect and make himself better in the sense. And that's one of the things that like I feel like we're taken away from like positive, strong female characters. And like back then, Gwen Stacy wasn't seen as that. She was kind of just a damsel in distress. And that's like a big thing, because I've studied this with like a professor here at King's, and
shout out to Mr. Barry.
Yeah, and like we've looked at these kind of things like damsel in distress and all that, and it's just like I would rather just, if she died, like let her die with like an honor, in the point where it just doesn't make him better, that it's just like a point of like, she's gone.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've talked about this on a previous episode, that there is one series that I really want to buy, because it's like I think it's a graphic novel now. They make it into the graphic novel, but it came in like actual like separate issues, like single issues. It's called Spider-Man Blue. It's Joe Quesada's.
Oh,
it's Tim Sales and Joe Quesada, I think, right?
Is it Joe? Or is Jeff Loeb?
That's it, Jeff Loeb.
Yeah.
But I know Quesada was like around that time. That's why, because like he was the one that took his marriage away from Mary Jane and Civil War and everything. So it is what it is. But those two guys like really revolutionized what that story was, and the fact that you find out at the end that like he's talking to a recording tape about like Gwen and stuff on Valentine's Day, while he's still with MJ, and like it just, dude, I read that online, like bits and pieces of it online, and just I melted right then and there. Like,
that's good writing.
Oh, dude, I cannot get over
it. It looked
that.
really cool from what you showed me about it, and I gotta say, like things like that, like when a comic book writer can make you feel for the characters in the book, even though they're just like,
you win.
Yeah, that's when it's good writing. That's when that's when you can sit there and say, wow, that kind of changed my life a little bit.
Exactly. And of course, everybody's favorite drunk degenerate playboy philanthropist, what is it, genius billionaire playboy philanthropist.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite drunk. Another example is Tony Stark, Iron Man. Obviously, he's a billionaire. Now, back in the day, he was a millionaire, because, money wasn't as big back in the day. So now billionaire, but millionaire and famous inventor. He had heart problems. He was shot with a giant like grenade launcher, whatever it was. He's got shrapnel in his chest, and the arc reactor's keeping him alive.
Iron Man 1, man. Oh, it's such a great movie.
I know. I love that movie.
I've watched that movie like several times.
Oh yeah, anytime it's on FX, I like see. All right, I've got time. I'm gonna watch it, or I don't have time. I'm gonna watch it a little bit later if it comes back on, or I'll figure it out, find it online or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that movie. That put Robert Downey Jr. back on the map.
It put Iron Man back on the map.
Oh yeah,
at least for people that hadn't
started the MCU.
At least for people that hadn't read Iron Man like in a while, or haven't read him since like the Silver Age or whatever.
Well, I mean, I feel like recently, like the whole big changes and everything in Marvel, like the Invincible Iron Man, and then
It's a good series from what Mr. Nick Benny told me.
Yeah, now it's Riri Williams, and she's. It still says the Invincible Iron Man, but it's Ironheart taking over that series, and so like I think he's just playing as a mentor to her, and like I saw, on IGN's Snapchat story today was what to buy like this week or whatever, and it said number 1 of Invincible Iron Man, and it's Riri Williams is Ironheart, but
cool.
She's wearing like an Iron Man suit that's red and gold and everything, like, so she's taking over from that. And I mean, it is what it is.
And that's like kind of getting us into like the next topic we're going to talk about real quick is like black superheroes.
Oh yeah.
And it's so the first main black superhero that Marvel ever put out was Black Panther, and that was in Fantastic Four number 52. Obviously, they weren't doing like single titles around then. They were just kind of
1966, dude. Like,
yeah. And he didn't have a long time like running series at all. Like he started the wave of black superheroes, and that's awesome because I think like diversity is a big thing. And like I think today, like another thing today is like with what DC did, they have a Superman or something like that, and he's different. I don't know if it's
a different timeline or like a different Earth or whatever.
He's like in I think China or Japan. I don't remember which one. It's one of the two, and he has the same powers. Just a kid from that who got his powers. I'm like, that's cool diversity kind of thing. There's like and I think there's an Asian Hulk too now. I can't remember. Amadeus
They got
Cho.
rid of him though. They went back to Bruce Banner,
and that's fine. But they had him, and it's cool. They try to incorporate diversity.
I mean, Jane Foster's now Thor, and you have what's her name? They're
doing like gender bent stuff. Like,
they have Spider Gwen. They have Gwen Pool. The whole idea that like Silk, that's her name. I've been blanking on that. Silk is now like she was bitten by the spider that Peter was bitten by too. Surprise! Like,
yeah.
So it was pretty cool to see that. I mean, I'm glad they're making new superheroes instead of like just hey guys, let's kill someone off and replace them. Like, I like seeing like alterations in different like people, and it's different superheroes, and like they team up with the original superheroes, and then that's how they kind of start off. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this brought in the Falcon, one of Captain America's best friends in the entire like MCU and in the entire Marvel comics. This brought in Power Man, Luke Cage, which was a fantastic Netflix series. I don't know if you finished it yet.
Didn't finish it yet.
Man, dude, you are really slacking.
Yeah, well, this semester,
I know, it is what it is, but so good. Oh man, I finished that and I was like, this is fantastic. It was very close to beating Daredevil in my opinion.
Wow. See, I don't know. Daredevil was good. Daredevil was really good.
Daredevil was fantastic.
Daredevil like started the whole Netflix thing. So I don't know if I could say it was
close.
It almost
it's a close second.
I'd say they're like, for me, they're like all kind of up there. I don't know. I enjoyed them all for what they were, but yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, it also brought in, I mean, DC's Black Lightning. And, Static Shock and all these other characters. And, of course, Image Comics Spawn, Todd McFarlane, one of my favorites. But, I mean, this is, without a doubt, the start of something brand new. This is the start of something fantastic. And not to pull off Fantastic Four, guys.
You should just end on that note. Let's just end the show on that note. It was just something fantastic.
You know what? Yeah, I like it. We're going to end it on that. So, with that, thank you again for everyone for tuning in. This has been Geek Week with Chris and Nick. Once again,
I'm Chris Natale.
And I'm Nick Rotundo. So, yeah, definitely thank you again, dude. I love doing this show. This is our 9th show. Next week is our 10th show.
10th anniversary.
Dude, that's ridiculous.
That's funny. Well, just to let you know, we started up a YouTube channel. We said this in our past shows. We post up all of our old videos, plus more to come, like weekly video updates whenever we actually have time to do that.
Yeah, whenever we decide to go to the Mac Lab and edit.
Yeah, since we'll be posting our shows onto our YouTube account, be sure to subscribe, share with all your friends and family. All the support is appreciated. The YouTube account has been shared on our Facebook, so be sure to like us on there at www.facebook.com/geekweek885.
And be sure to tune in next week to hear us talk about the Bronze Age of comic books.
Let's go.
That was Geek Week with Chris and Nick. Be sure to tune in next week at 6 p.m.